100%. Just make sure the motion's going. Add some little flair.
I feel like it'd make for kind of an interesting like workout influencer camera too. Just follow you everywhere.
Yeah, I've seen. It was funny because when I bought the camera back in August, and I told myself and I told all my buddies, I'm like, I'm buying this to record, post every day, because you could like connect it to your phone and upload the videos really seamlessly. Yeah. I'm like, I'm gonna post nonstop, and I just haven't done that whatsoever. And then the second I bought it, a few months after, I want to say by end of October, beginning of November, I've seen it like just be the new fad on TikTok, on Instagram. Like, you have to buy this camera, and I'm pretty sure it's like sold out everywhere you try to buy it, which is hilarious.
Well, we were kind of talking about this before we started recording, but everything has gone up and everything's gotten more expensive with the tariffs. And this particular piece of equipment has doubled since you bought it. So good thing, it's literally following you up and down, side to side. Does it kind of roll around too, or is it just kind of on an X and Y axis?
No, it's like, let's test it out real quick.
It does kind of roll with you though.
Yeah, I could kind of like, if we get excited, I could stand around, which is pretty cool.
That's
awesome. A really good job.
This might be the most hype podcast I've ever done. So be awesome.
That's hilarious.
Are the panels soundproof panels too?
They're not soundproof panels. They're just used, but they are used for acoustic. They help it out because, like, if we didn't have any of those panels, all the sound would kind of bounce off the walls and back into the mics. So I can show you real quick because one fell off the wall. Let me see. All right. It's like
also an acoustic panel with your branding on it.
Yeah. It's like see the back is like a foam, and then this is a special. This is like a special. I forgot what it's called. Yeah, I forgot.
It's a good way to plug the brand right now. LPM Radio coming at you live.
Yeah, but it's like a special kind of like, I don't know how to material, so the sound bounces off of it. Because one of them was stained, and my mom the other day was like, "You have to paint it." I was like, "If I paint it, it takes away from all the additives of the sound that we're looking for." Like, I don't know.
Makes a lot of sense. Do you when you order those, like with the custom wrap on it too, do you order them from a certain company that then custom wraps them, or do you order them and then have them custom wrapped?
It's all in one company. We just send them the logos, they make it, and then depending on the size of it, like that one I just showed you, is about $500, and then the smaller, like red ones, and we have blue ones as well. They're a little bit cheaper.
Was that affected by the tariffs as well?
Yeah, definitely. Everything's affected.
It's definitely not a Temu acoustic panel.
No, because we had to send in, like, you have to take exact measurements of the room, and they'll give you a layout of pretty much like what will work for your room and what won't. Because we also have some, if I stand up real quick, like we have some on the ceiling as well that help us out.
Yeah. The blue hexagons, or whatever they are good, a really good touch though. And I feel like not many people will probably see those, but you still, even just for the aesthetic, like you can now walk around your entire room and the entire thing looks like it fits well together. If you walked around my room right now, you'd see like there's like pillows and other random stuff over here on the right side. Like you've got it all set up though. I feel like it's really well organized all together.
Yeah, definitely took a lot of time, but it's come together really nicely. But it's funny because I've like messed around a little bit with live streaming a bit.
Yep.
I live stream out of my room, and my room is just a mess. I mean, like right now I have probably like 3 TV screens behind me. I have a green screen I pull up sometimes, and then my bed and shoes. So it's a mess. If I had a room like yours with a neat little corner, it'd be beautiful.
All right, real talk. Whether I'm gearing up for a tough workout or preparing for an episode of the Cameron Brown Show, I need to be locked in. And that's where Abomb Energy comes in play. This stuff isn't just another energy drink. It was actually created by an Army Special Ops combat medic who wanted something better, something that actually helps you think clearer, focus longer, and retain information, not just give you a quick caffeine spike. And I can tell you, it really works. I've been drinking Abomb before I hit the gym, and it's like flipping a switch. My focus is on point, my energy is steady, and I don't get that crash afterward. Same when I'm recording this podcast. I need to be sharp, engaged, and Abomb helps me stay in the zone. Plus, it actually tastes great. So if you're looking for something that gives you a real mental and physical edge, go check them out at abombenergy.com. And when you order, just type Cameron in the notes so they know that I sent you. Trust me, you're going to feel the difference.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I guess we could say this. Everybody starts somewhere, right?
Definitely.
And it'll be fun to look back on this in 5 years and be like, damn, I literally started in my room and now you're here. So that's super exciting. So Steve, I'm going to let you go ahead and kind of dive into this and give my followers and everybody that's going to be listening to this kind of a better understanding of who you are, your background, what you're working on, and then we will obviously just pivot accordingly into the rest of the conversation. But I'm going to let you do a little bit of an introduction first.
I got you. So my name is Steve Reynoso. Right now I'm one of the owners. It's me and my dad of LPM Radio. We also started a full-fledged production company that's named Media Group LPM. And what we do is just help other content creators if they want to record any content, produce any content. That's where we come in. If you want to rent out the studio, use our studio. If you want to send us videos, like edit. If you have also any music you want to market, we help people out with that. Because LPM Radio and Media Group LPM, we're owners of 8 online radio stations. So through those 8 online radio stations, they all have a unique following. Some have, we have one that's at 75,000 monthly listeners. We have another that's at 100,000 monthly listeners, but they're 2 completely different genres. And also, like I said, 2 unique audiences, which is really cool. Because like the other day I got an email and there was some guy in Germany talking to me like, hey, your radio station shut down for a second, like check the servers. And I was like, what the heck? Because all those 8 radio stations as of right now are in Spanish. We actually started our first English one about 2 months ago, and that one's called Retro Wave. So it's for more like classic. Like my dad likes to say, like he wants to hear it when he's in the elevator or he's in an office somewhere. Like that's the vibe he's going for. And then hopefully in the future, I'll put up like a hip hop R&B, maybe even country station. I listen to all type of music. So it'll be interesting moving on. But
I don't really take you for much of a country guy, but I guess you like a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I got into it about a year ago, but I think it's just because my whole life has been surrounded by music. Probably like in the womb, and the second I came out the womb, listening to bachata, reggaeton, like all type of music. So I've been flooded with music 24/7, and ever since I could remember that iPhones, iPods came out, like I'd be the person that goes to sleep with headphones on and then wakes up and puts them back in and like just listen to music 24/7. So I feel like with that, you have to kind of listen to everything, because at one point I got bored of something. Like for me, I was a big hip hop and like hard rap guy. But when it's 7 a.m. and you're just listening to a bunch of like hip hop and rap, it messes up your brain a little bit. But I got more into the flow of like listening to country, just feeling out the vibe. I don't know. There's nothing better for me now than like sun blazing, windows down, just bopping some country.
Well, I love to hear that. And a couple of different notes on that too. My biggest thing with music is I will put on like New Music Friday or like random mix, and I'll find like a random mix on Spotify. Whether it's, I mean, like it's like Latin music or it's some kind of rap or some kind of country or jazz or like Frank Sinatra radio. It's like it's literally all over the place. And I think it's really just trying to find that mood that you're in to make it match what you're feeling at the same time. But to your point, running at 7 a.m. on rap music can be a good thing if you're heading to the gym, but really bad if you're heading into work. So yeah, just depends on what kind of vibe you're feeling.
Yeah.
One thing you
said that was cool is like I'm definitely that type of person to match my my music to my mood. Like depending on the type of mood I'm in, that's the type of music I'm listening to. Like you said, like if I'm going into the gym and I want to get really hyped, like maybe it's EDM, maybe it's rap, but then other times, honestly, most of the times now it's been like more country, soft side, Billie Eilish. I don't know. I just love anything. It's hilarious.
Well, once again, when you visit Charleston, we'll have to hop on the boat and we'll listen to plenty of music, plenty of country music. So that's typically the vibe for the summer in Charleston, South Carolina. So
I love
to have you join for that as well. When you think about like music, and I think a lot about frequencies as well, and what aligns with you in the time, I feel like it'd make for like a really good Black Mirror episode if somehow Spotify was able to figure out how to connect AI and also figure out like your brain waves and figure out a way to line those two up together. So whatever you're feeling at the moment, it can just immediately match it, which they kind of have gotten to a point where they've been pretty good about matching what you're feeling or how you're feeling based off of what you listen to. But I feel like that's kind of that next level, is just matching what's actually going on internally with music.
Definitely.
So
That'd be
Get-
spooky though.
It would be a bit spooky, but hey, if you put a Neuralink in your head, I mean, how difficult would it actually be if you've got something linked up to your brain at all times?
That's true. And honestly, I wouldn't mind. Like if I don't know, I just love music so much, and I just feel like it's also really cool because it connects all different types of people. Like you said, you never expected me to listen to country music. So when I go out to like, if I'm at a country bar, or if I'm just at the beach listening to country, like I know somebody's coming up to me and be like, "What the heck are you doing listening to that?" I'm like, "You kidding me?"
Well, I was
Exactly.
saying like you're Dominican, correct? Your dad's
Yep.
Dominican, so I was just thinking a lot of like Latin music was kind of the vibe across the board, but that makes total sense. And it's always funny too because music just in general, there's so many different types of music that people can connect with, so you never really know. But I'm glad to know it's not just me that feels like in a certain mood or has a certain vibe and then wants to connect with that kind of music.
Definitely.
Your the different radio stations. So let's kind of dive into that for a minute. Which one did y'all start with? Which radio station did you all first start off with, and how did you expand into the different types of radio stations from there?
So we started with LPM radio, and that's why this studio is like mainly. You saw the sign I just showed you, it was LPM radio.
Yep.
And that one's like a all-in-one. Like what we say, it's in Spanish, it's urbana, which means it's like kind of all different types of music, depending on the hours of the days. Because if you ever work with an online radio station or any radio station, like they all have a scheduling to it. So from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. it's going to be a little bit softer, and as the day goes on, it's going to get a little bit more upbeat, depending like the day of the week, depending the hour too. Like it's all going to change based on that. And just slowly as we started growing and then showing more people like, hey, listen to our radio station, go on LPM, we started to realize that some people were like, I'm not really liking this, because like some wanted to just listen to bachata music, some just wanted to listen to salsa, things like that. And we were like, why don't we just give you a radio station strictly dedicated to that? And that's what we went ahead and did. Instead of like having the all-in-one, now we have a radio station which is solely bachata. So it'll be like slower bachata in the morning and then upbeat, and then we have one that's solely salsa, solely urbana, solely like love music, solely church music. So we kind of gave everybody who has a vibe an opportunity to go listen to a radio station, because we also came out, each of those radio stations have their own like individual websites, individual applications you could go and search on.
Right.
But about 2-3 months ago, we came out with Media Group LPM, and that one is almost like a Pandora, I would say, or like a tune-in radio, where you could go in and see all of our radio stations that we own. You could just click and see what vibe you're kind of feeling.
Cool. Do y'all? I'm assuming the business model is an ads model, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Is it the main? Not to dive too much into the business model necessarily, but is that the main source of revenue? Is it a truly ads model, or is there other portions or parts of the business model?
Yeah, for radio, I would say definitely just mainly ads, because that's really all you could offer people in a sense. It's all about like how you could help other businesses, really. Because there's a lot of money spent on the back end to get those things running. Like we have 2 huge servers that have them running. We had to buy a console to make sure everything's running nicely, and that console is not cheap. It's funny because
even pre-tariffs.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, if it was post-tariffs, I don't know if we could afford it. But even that console, like that's a console you see at Hot 97, like it's a state-of-the-art console. It's one you see at any other like big-time radio station. But like that is that's purchased due to ads, you know what I mean? But the one beautiful thing about ads, and because I've been mainly trying to sell the ads in the past year, the one beautiful thing is like we're genuinely helping other companies, because we're going to companies and being like, we have 75,000 people listening to LPM radio. How could our audience help your company? Like, do you need, let's say it's a local restaurant, like do you need more people coming in the door and like returning customers? Like we have an audience in New York. Or if it's like, oh, you have a restaurant in Miami, well, guess what? We have a salsa radio station that's huge in Miami, because we're able to get all the demographics, see where everybody's listening from, and then see what age group as well, because like that helps us pretty much navigate which businesses we're going to target and stay away from. Because we're not gonna offer you guys an ad if like I know it's not going to help you in the long run. Like, we're just looking to help other people and pretty much just cover our costs to run the business. Like, when my father first started this and I was just helping him out, like, it was all a hobby. Like, we did this for 10 years as a hobby, and I would say it wasn't until like last year that we really started to take it as a business and just go all in.
Right. I feel like with radio specifically, there was a period of time where I kind of suspected that radio might be falling off or might be dying. But what I've come to realize is that with any kind of marketing strategy, having like an omni-channel approach is super important. I think a lot of marketers have consistently realized that too. So it's nice to hit people where they are, and people are still listening to radio consistently across the board. Even with all the advancements and everything else too, people still like tuning into radio stations. So doing it right, which sounds like y'all are doing it really, really well, is obviously, you know, super important, but also leads to more businesses wanting to come and then give you money to get in front of your audience.
Definitely. And one of the nice things is that, like you said, not everybody is listening to radio anymore. Like me personally, I don't go in my car and turn on the radio. I go in and connect my phone. I have Apple CarPlay, which is one huge thing that we've been able to realize and adapt to. It's like, let's not focus on FM and Sirius, even though there is still a very large audience on it. Let's focus on building our online our online presence. So that's where the applications come in, and it's like when you connect your Apple CarPlay, you see our app, and you could just run the app. You know what I mean? And then that's also where like contributing YouTube channels come in, because we have a YouTube channel for LPM Radio, and we also have Instagram pages for all the websites and radio. So it's like, we understand that even though people might not be listening to the radio, you're probably listening to something on YouTube, something on Instagram. So if something catches your eye, you're able to still be like, okay, connect the dots and be like, oh, LPM Radio. Oh, they have an app. Let me go listen to them on their app, because the shows we run live through YouTube also run through the radio station, which is cool. So if you're in the car and don't want to connect your YouTube, don't have that much Wi-Fi, like, you could go to the radio station. It'll be way more accessible.
Perfect. I love that. Well, it sounds like y'all are modernizing, which is great. And then also, you mentioned live streaming earlier too. I want to go back to that just for a moment. What were you live streaming about when you were live streaming?
So right now we have a show that's called Rompiendo Millero, and it just like they like to talk about anything going on in like that world of music. Like right now they're majorly talking about just like artists and stuff. I like to compare them to like DJ academics. Like, they'll just pretty much keep you up to date to what's going on in the world, in the sense of like, there was a tragedy that happened in DR recently where the roof of a club fell down, and they'll like cover that. They'll cover any like pretty much just any news on like the Latin space. They try to focus on solely music, but when it's tragedies like that or something big that goes on in Dominican Republic, they'll cover that as well.
Cool. But it's mainly Dominican Republic or Latin music focused.
Yeah, or definitely just Latin music focused, because it's all Spanish speaking audience, which is cool because I get to produce that show, and like sitting on the back end of it, seeing how that world works as well is actually really cool.
And are you personally live streaming anything currently?
No, I'm not. I sit down with my buddies every night. We hop on a Discord call for like half an hour to an hour, and we're thinking about it, because like I have honestly so many options and like so many opportunities to live stream. I just don't know what to do, because like I used to like playing some video games here and there, and then I realized like if I were to live stream and I'd have to go live every day playing video games, like I wouldn't want to do that, because there's some days like I only play for 5-10 minutes, you know what I mean? And then there's once in a month where I love to play for hours, and it's like I don't want to force myself to doing that.
I'm not sure that I could do it personally. I thought about it a lot, and also so Kai Sinnott just released his like live streaming course or program or whatever it was, and launched it with this Hogwarts kind of theme. And I was like, man, live streaming really has taken off, which I know it's been around for a while now. It's not like it's last year, but it's amazing how much money people are making from just live streaming, just across the board.
Yeah, I honestly think it's like income wise, it's probably one of the biggest ways you could grow your income. Like, the one thing about it is there's such a huge audience, and I used to think like I remember in 2020 I wanted to live stream, because at the time I was at school surrounded by a bunch of buddies, and I bought this new PC, and I'm like, yeah, live streaming's the way. but then I would like kind of psych myself out and be like, oh no, it's too flooded. Like everybody's already too big. Like whoever made it, and there's no room for anybody else. But what I've seen is like there's a niche for everybody. And I used to think like you had to be this high energy, like doing a specific type of content to blow up. But honestly, it's just like anything else. Like if you put your time and effort into it and you grow a nice community, like you're gonna be able to do really well on it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too with like content in general, which I'm not the best, I'm nowhere near the best content creator. I'm trying to enjoy the process of doing this and having these conversations and learning new things along the way. So I think the biggest thing is like enjoying it and staying as consistent as possible as you do it, because ultimately, if this leads to, you know, an additional listener on one of your shows or a client of yours or something like that, it's a huge win for you. We obviously get to build this relationship, which is amazing too. But it doesn't have to be millions of listeners right off the rip, right? It's obviously not going to be if you are not a Kardashian. But you have to be born to that family. Congratulations, or a Brady or something like that. But yeah, it's truly a matter of just being consistent. But I guess with live streaming, especially if you're live streaming like your entire day, I mean that's almost 20. That's pretty much 24 hours of full content that somebody like Kai Cenat is creating on a daily basis. So,
which is insane to me, because that's one thing I definitely couldn't do. I mean, back in the day, I know that psyched me out a ton too. Like I used to think that you had to live stream for 8 hours or 12 hours a day and do stuff like that. And for me now, if I were to go back to live streaming at max, I would do an hour a day and maybe if that. Like, and then right now, everything that's important is just short clips, like short form content. Like you got to be able to focus on that. Like how could I bring people into my live stream? And then once you have those short form content, kind of have like your clips planned out and have a strategy of how you're going to attack the live stream, then I would say go for it and then continue doing that until you grow a decent audience. But I wouldn't put yourself in front of a camera to 0 viewers for 8 hours a day, just kind of wasting your time when you could be doing other things.
It's kind of grueling, honestly.
Definitely.
Not very enjoyable. So the transition to the podcast, when did you start your podcast? This is kind of a newer thing for you, correct?
Yeah. I recorded my first episode in August, and I think I didn't post anything till mid-November, end of November.
Okay.
And I think that was just because same thing, like psyched myself out. Like to be honest, I never really felt comfortable in front of the camera, like the microphone. I'm more like I was way better behind, like just producing shows and being behind the scenes. I always thought like that's where I was at. And then I don't know, just something in my life just told me like I got to wake up. I got to give myself the opportunity and the chance. Like just like anything else in life, what's cool about podcasting is like you're not going to be great once you start. Like, you know what I mean? There's room for growth. And I just wanted to start something new where I was actually really terrible at it and I could grow in it.
I love that. Yeah, it's funny because I was total shit when I started this, like awful. It was so bad. And I'm not going to say I'm any better now. I think I've just gotten a lot more comfortable doing this. And I enjoy it a lot more because I've gotten more comfortable doing it. Whereas initially I thought, man, I've got to do everything right. I've got to say the right things. I've got to move this conversation in a certain direction. I think the biggest thing for me, the biggest focus is I ultimately want to make sure that people stay engaged, and I want to have good conversations that people actually get value from. But the only way to really get there is to truly be myself. And if people listen to me and they like this and they like me, then ultimately they'll listen more. Same thing for you. If they like you, they listen to you, they trust you, they'll probably listen more to you too. But so many people are moving away from mainstream media and just looking for real, honest people that maybe aren't always right or maybe aren't always wrong, but at least they provide some kind of genuine, authentic approach to the way we present media and news across the board.
Definitely, because I just like took a look back at what type of content I was watching at the time, and I realized I was just tired of all the fake stuff I was seeing, like all the flashy and like just showboating type of stuff that didn't really seem real to me. And I know it isn't real because we live in the real world. So when these cameras turn off, when we go and like get off our phones and we just interact with real life people, you see that isn't how life is actually lived. Regardless if you're like on a yacht, you're in a Lamborghini, you're flashing hundreds of thousands of dollars, that doesn't mean they're genuinely happy behind the scenes. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I
and
started
it still works. I mean, that's still a good strategy for the record.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not. I mean, it truly is though. It's once again, human psychology is an interesting thing, but the people that do post the Lamborghinis and the yachts, that buy the followers, that buy the whatever they do, right? Just to just make it seem as though they are bigger than they actually are. It's not like it doesn't work, right? To a certain degree,
No,
it
it
does. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it's a terrible strategy, because hey, like, you know, to each their own. But I don't think it's the way that like I want to go about it, or I want to grow, because it's not the approach that it's not what I want. I don't want people to think that of me personally. So
yeah, for sure. And I could respect that. And the one thing I will say is like, I just feel like there's no longevity in that. The only person I see and have longevity in that is Jack Doherty. But then like you lead a life where I feel bad for the kid, honestly. Like he's 21 years old and like he's just getting attacked on the daily. Like I understand. Listen, I'm a person that honestly, if I started to get hate comments, like I wouldn't really care, because there was moments in my life where like I was my biggest hater, you know what I mean? So anything like somebody could say to me online is like probably something I've already said to myself 10 times over. So it won't affect me. But like for years on end, somebody saying this or that about me and me constantly seeing it all the time, like I really truly wouldn't know like how I'd feel mentally. And especially being 21, regardless of all the money I've made or regardless of what else is going on, like I don't know. I feel like personally I wouldn't feel like the best person. I don't know.
yeah, I feel like you'd burn out at some point, right? And he went on, oh god, what's the guy's name that was
George Janko.
Thank you. He just went on the George Janko show. I was about to say, I saw a clip like yesterday, and I think George was trying to kind of talk to him and bring him back down to earth a bit, which was actually kind of cool. I don't know that if I were in Jack's shoes that I would want to get on a show and have somebody talk down to me necessarily, or talk to me about being a better human. I'm not really sure that I'd be a huge fan of doing that. But the kid is 21 years old, so it's like, hey, he does need some good mentorship and leadership in his life. But he's also, for the record, he's also done well financially. But if that's the only measure of success in this life, then what kind of life is this? That's kind of my approach, right? Making money is an amazing thing. We should all try to strive to make as much money as possible. But with everything he goes through on a daily basis, is it truly worth it at the end of the day?
Yeah, definitely. Because getting scrutinized 24/7 online, like I understand a lot of it's for the clips. Like we just said, short form content is king, and it's still a very good way to monetize and blow up. But it's like for that to happen constantly, and then you be out on the streets getting harassed by anybody, even though I don't know if that's true. You know what I mean? Half the time, like these Twitter comments and TikTok comments and all the comments online, like they just aren't real life people, in the sense of like when you see Jack Doherty on the street, people usually aren't harassing him for the most part.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, I see it becoming more and more like prevalent that people are bothering him and are saying this stuff when they see him, or like he's not getting certain type of collaborations. And it's like, in that sense, I do feel bad, because like people don't think about the opposite side of things. Like when he first came in the money, the kid was 15. Like you put yourself in his shoes where you become a millionaire at 15, and how would you come out with the way the world is, where it just OnlyFans models being pushed? Like we go back to the Lamborghinis, the chains, the watches, the alcohol. Like it's a hard world to grow up in, especially when like you're that young, that much money, and you're your own boss. I'd probably tell everybody to fuck off too. Like, I don't know.
I do the same thing at 15 years old, which like, thank God I didn't fall into millions at 15 years old, because I would not know what to do at that time. You mentioned like the comments too, the hate comments across the board. I actually had this conversation with a good friend of mine who has a fairly large following online. She's probably close to 1 million across platforms, and she gets hate comments all the time. She's a fitness influencer, gets a bunch of hate comments. And I thought about it too. I was like, I don't get many. I don't know if I've really received. I've received a couple on YouTube through the podcast, but nothing crazy. But I don't know if I was getting 50 hate comments a day, I don't know what that would do to me mentally. Would I also burn out pretty quick? Maybe. At this point, I'd like to think I have pretty thick skin. I don't really care that much, but 50 to 100 hate comments a day, what would that do to a person's like psyche? Probably mess with you pretty bad.
Definitely. I believe like it's just hard because these people don't live in your shoes, you know what I mean? They don't, especially now that I've started creating my own content, because it's one thing producing it for somebody else. Like you really don't see the effort that goes in on the back end of stuff. Like it's one thing to just sit down and record a podcast and be able to send it over to an editor, send it over to a team. But it's another thing when like you're the one searching for the guest, you're the one editing, you're the one searching for all the B-roll, you're the one searching for everything. Like it's a lot of time that's consumed in that. So then when you put, let's say 12, 15 hours, 16 hours into an episode and you're getting hate comments, like that could deter a lot of people. And then another thing that I see deter a lot of people is like when they only get a few views. Like me personally, I get like 70 views on my TikTok, and I remember that feeling like being like, oh my gosh, I don't even want to post anymore because they're just doing shit. And I was upset. But then I realized like 70 people is a lot of people. Like if you had to speak in front of 70 people in an empty room, you'd be scared, especially if you've never done it before.
Yep.
So you just really need to open up your mind and realize like you're not going to get millions of views in the beginning. You have a lot of developing to do. You have a lot of figuring out to do in the sense of like, how do thumbnails work? How does the SEO work? How does the algorithm work on every individual app? Like you have to go through the trials and tribulations of struggling before you make it. You know what I mean? If you're going to be afraid to fail and afraid to post a video that you wasted hours on, not even wasted, used hours on, and only get 70 views, 50 views, 10 views, whatever it is, like you're never going to make it in this game.
Absolutely. It's probably a good thing that when we first start, we don't get millions of views, because what that probably ultimately leads to is those millions of people seeing our stuff and then not really wanting to come back to it, right? You build it up, you get better, you learn, you experience things, then you produce better content, you yourself grow, and then you ultimately become what you need to be in order to keep those people around. So I think of like an unsubscribe rate or a bounce rate of sorts with like emails. It's kind of like the same thing, right? You produce quality stuff, people are probably going to want to keep coming back to it. But if for whatever reason the algorithm just catches on to it and it's like, oh, this is kind of an interesting post one time, are you a one and done kind of guy, or are you actually going to stay consistent and keep it going? Regardless, 70 to 100 people is still, you know, bigger than most college classes, right? So you're still speaking to a pretty good sized crowd. But it's just, I think the modern era has told us a lot about and made us think that hundreds of people is just not a big crowd, or even hundreds of followers. But if those hundreds of followers end up turning into buyers or subscribers or clients and they build a great relationship with you, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you don't need millions of followers to do well. You need people with intent to engage in your content for it to do well. So.
Yeah. One thing I believe that people don't really understand, I'd rather have 100 followers that engage with my content on the daily than 10,000 that never look at it and never engage whatsoever. Because selling ads and selling to a company and like being able to help another company or doing brand sponsorships and deals like that, like it just pays back way better when you have people who actually engage in your content. When you're able to go to a company, let's say like this water company, I'm like, hey, I have 100 people engage with my stuff every day. And when I say, hey, go buy Move Hydration, I know those 100 people are going to go buy it. Like you're offering a company 100 new customers compared to, hey, I have 10,000 followers, but none of them engage. None of them do anything with anything I say. Like it means nothing. So I'd rather have followers who actually engage in my content, who actually get some value out of it, because it just means a lot more down the line and also gives me a lot more opportunity to grow.
Speaking of value here, because there were certain times where you were like, I'm not going to do this, or you maybe thought negatively or were skeptical of the future of your podcast and, you know, the production space, et cetera. You were in a different job, or you were on a different career path, I guess, before this. Mm-hmm. And you made a jump over into the production space and the media space. So what was kind of that final straw for you to make the jump from corporate America into what is now your own thing?
I would say there wasn't really a final straw. I just feel like, at least talking to my buddies, it's just something that a lot of 20-year-old men go through, like just feeling lost in life, especially the day and age we're in right now. It's like we are not all able to afford a house. We're not all able to start building our families. So it kind of messes with your head a little bit. And then I just kind of took a step back and realized like maybe corporate America isn't for me. And I have an opportunity where we already had something built in the studio and we already had something built on the radio station where I could kind of say like F it and go all in the sense of like, I have nothing to lose. Like I don't have anybody depending on me right now. I don't have a house where if I stop paying the mortgage right now, somebody's going to come and take it. Like I have a great opportunity to kind of lose everything, and if I if I land on my butt and I fail, it'll be nice because I have a family that'll be able to help me out as of right now, you know what I mean? And I don't have like a wife or kids that are depending on me to create something, or I don't know, there's just not as many pressures. So once once I realized that, I was able to just kind of take a step back and say, let's go for it. Like, what am I going to lose? At the end of the day, I still have the degree. I could still go back to corporate America. That's something I could always still do. But to be 24 again, to be 25 again, and like giving it my all towards a podcast, that's not something you could always do. And then if you don't do it, the mental is just going to get worse and worse. Like, just like anything else, I see people. One of the things that I changed in the past year was like my gym habits, because I see people who are like 35 and they say how hard it is to get back into the gym or this and that. But it's just because how many years you spent doing those bad habits and having those bad habits. So being in my 20s and now being 26, one of the big things I wanted to implement in my life was building great habits for the future. So I never got to the point where things became too difficult to turn back from, or things got to the point where it felt like they were too difficult. Because it doesn't matter what age you are. Like, if you put it into your mind that you want to do something and change something, you'll be able to do it. I've seen 60-year-olds change their entire life, whether it's eating habits, whether it's work habits, like whatever it is. If you put your mind to it, you could do it. But I just wanted to build those good habits now that I'm young and like able to, and have the time, honestly, because once the kids come, once the responsibilities start piling on, I definitely understand it becomes 10 times more difficult for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it will become a lot more difficult. And I think about this too. Like, if you were kind of wanted to ask the question, like, if you had a family and kids right now, do you think you'd still have taken this path? But I guess we don't know, right? We don't know in that universe what you would have ended up doing. So it's not really a fair question. But I kind of told myself,
I could be honest. I know I wouldn't be. I just like, I know myself. Like, I want to be for my future family. I want to be a provider. I want to be able to somebody who like all their problems, whether it's financially, whether it's mentally, physically, like I want them to look at me almost as like their Statue of Liberty. I don't know. Like, I want you to look at me like a beacon of light. Like, I want to be the head of the family in every sense of the way, and I want to be able to provide. So if I were to have a family now, I wouldn't feel comfortable like sitting in front of a camera making not that much money, and then knowing my kids are hungry or my wife is hungry and she wants more. Like, it would suck, honestly. And that's why like I had to step away from any relationships I was in the sense, like, I know right now I'm not pursuing any women because I need to focus on myself and I need to build myself to be in the position where I could be the provider. Because just as the type of person I am, like, I know I'm going to be uncomfortable if I just can't afford certain things. Like, it's hard to have a girlfriend even nowadays and like go through Christmas and you can't afford the gifts she wants, you know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to provide that for her. So it's like, how would I be able to sit through here and do this podcast and kind of take a risk on myself and not be able to afford it while I also have that other pressure? Like, that's just more pressure building up for my life unnecessarily.
well, we're on the same page with that one. I think the hardest part for me is that, I told myself in my 20s I was going to take all my risks, right? So 29 now, and I feel like I've taken almost every risk in the book, and finally getting to a point where things are definitely moving in the right direction, which is good. And it's not like things have ever been bad necessarily, right? I've stayed consistent. I've continued to work. But when you take those large risks, you can't always expect like massive returns immediately too, right? It takes time. Biggest thing with the podcast is something that you committed to it and you said you were going to do it. So you did it, right? Mm-hmm. I talked about this 3 years ago now. I said 3 years ago, I was like, I'm going to start a podcast. It might be like a marketing or a sales podcast or something like that. And then I was like, no, it's like, if we're going to do this for the long run, it's got to be something that I can do consistently and enjoy. So this is just gonna be my show, right? Just like it's your podcast, it's your show. You can bring on whoever you want. You can talk about whatever you want. It doesn't have to be business or production or media. It can be whatever the hell you want to talk about. So so kudos to you for doing that, and also kudos for understanding what you need to become in order to be able to provide properly for a family, right? Huge. A lot of guys don't get that nowadays. So understand that, respect the shit out of that too.
Yeah, it's cool you started your own podcast as well, because I understand like how hard it could be, and like it's also pretty freeing to have your own thing. Like you said, you get to run it. Like, you get to decide what we talk about. Like, is it going to be aliens today? Is it going to be business? Is it going to be motivational? Like, that's one of the coolest things I could ever ask for. Like, I could kind of just be myself, and that's one of the things like I really wanted to push on this year, not only to myself but to everybody around my life. Like, life is way too short for you to be unauthentic in any sense of the way. Like, I've seen stuff floating around social media where people say they need to like switch the terminology once they're in the office or something like that. And I completely understand it. Like when I was in office, there were certain things I wouldn't say, certain things I would say. And then certain, like, just my frame of mind was completely different. And in some sense of the word, like I felt unauthentic. And like one of the cool things about being able to build your own podcast and platform, like you could just be you 100%. Like, or you could be this emphasized version, like if you wanted to be. Like it's almost like Julian said it during our podcast. Like you kind of go back to being this little kid and being curious and like just exploring and doing whatever you want. Like that's one of the coolest things in the world, honestly.
Absolutely. So I'm actually probably going to drop this hat to you here soon, but my slogan, theme, whatever you want to call it, is stay curious. And it's very simple, very straightforward. So I've stuck with that, and so I've got some hats coming here soon, which would be kind of fun. So I'll definitely send you one of those. Not that you have to wear it, but I will have one of those coming soon. I saw something today as it relates to human beings and controlling the mind of human beings psychologically. And ultimately, the quote from whatever philosopher it was from talked about how ultimately our controllers, right, the puppeteers of this game that we're playing in, will ultimately allow us to argue within certain confines or talk within certain confines without us even knowing it, right? They will ultimately control the narrative, and they'll control what we think about and or discuss and or argue about, the discourse in general, without us truly understanding that they are controlling basically the barriers in which we can discuss things. And I thought about that deep today, and I was like, man, I'm going to have to bring this one up to Steve just to know kind of your general thoughts on that, but also to say that the point of this is to be able to talk about shit that would frankly probably get me fired in a corporate fucking setting. And I'm going to talk like that as brutally honest as possible, because I've just gotten to a point where I'm like, I don't want there to be any way that somebody can keep me from saying what I feel and or think and or discussing topics that I want to discuss, right? And so once again, that might get me sued at some point. Now that's totally possible.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you truly think about what people maybe can control about the way that we think and or discuss things, if that is actually happening, I want to make sure I do everything in my power to make sure that people never get confined to a box.
Yeah.
You truly stay curious at the end of the day.
I love that. And I definitely am going to need one of those hats, because that's probably the most important thing people could do in this world. Like stay curious and stay hungry, in the sense of like always be willing to learn and always be willing to like take a new opportunity and new risk. Because one thing I've spoken about this on pretty much all my episodes, like I see it a lot of people coming out of college, like they kind of just stop. Like they feel like that's the end of the road for them. They've achieved everything they could achieve, in the sense of like there's nothing new they're doing anymore. They're already good at everything they're doing in their life. You're already good at working. Like you know how to get your job done really well. You're good at communicating with the friends you have. You're not meeting a new group of friends. Like you're not growing. And it's just scary to me, because I'm like, what? I looked around like, what the hell is going on? Like all my life, I was always learning. I was always curious. I was always building. And then I looked around my life and I'm like, all right, like what is like a video game? Like, am I done with the story mode? Like, no, like you got to keep creating your story with every day. You got to like keep creating good memories every day. And you, like you said, you can't be boxed in. I feel like that's what a lot of people do nowadays. Like they box themselves into like, okay, I could afford 2 vacations a year. I could afford this. Like my life is good. But it's like when I was 10 years old, I dreamed way bigger than that. You know what I mean? I had to like remind myself of what it was like being a little kid. And one of the cool things, like I used to have a journal when I was a little kid because of my English teachers. And I was able to look back at that journal and just see how I was thinking as a little kid. And obviously a lot of it was delusional, but bringing that word up, it's like you have to be delusional, especially in this game. Like when you start your podcast, like maybe 5-10 people might follow you, like, but beyond that, like in order to grow your audience, you need to be delusional and believe you're going to be able to get to the top. If you're not delusional, if you don't have the self-belief in yourself that you're going to get to the top, like you're never going to make it. And it's kind of rough. I see a lot of people who come into the game and aren't delusional, and that's their downfall. But in anything you do in life, if you've never done it before, you have to be delusional. It hasn't been done, so you have to build it in your mind like it's already happened.
delusional, unique, different, whatever you want to call it. But I go back to like authenticity at the end of the day. It's just like truly being yourself and going for what you want, right? And I think a lot of people stop setting goals and they stop trying to move beyond their current conditions. Now, once again, if your current conditions are great and they are amazing and you're super happy and you're set and you're settled in life, that's great. I'm not one to judge anybody in that setting, right? But if you are like-minded, or if you're in kind of a situation like us where you know that there's a lot more to life, there's a lot more to figure out, and a lot more to learn, then you're going to be constantly looking for and trying to figure out more about what makes you tick. And so I feel like we're constantly searching, which is totally fine. But for those that are okay and they're good to go with where they're at, that's amazing. Support that 100%. But if you are constantly searching for or looking for your next thing or trying to better yourself, I'd say support those friends more than anybody else. Those people that are actually actively searching, for sure.
Yeah, that's one big thing. Like, I think also people need to support their friends more. You see it all the time. Like, they start that Instagram page, they start that TikTok page, and you see it. People just slide by like, oh yeah, he posted. They might throw it in the group chat, make fun of him. They might not. They might like it once, comment once. Like, if you really understand the game of engagement, you should understand how big it is to like it every time, to comment every time, to share it every time. Like, how is it hurting you by sharing your own friends' content? Like, I never understood that. And I recently had a bar owner who like emphasized this, and it's just like, it makes no sense. You know what I mean? Like, it really is the people closest to you that don't support you, which is funny to me. But it's also fine with me because my audience isn't the people closest to me. You know what I mean? My audience is probably like 18 to 35-year-old men. Like, I'm more trying to motivate people to go after it and get it. Like, my audience could be anybody. So once I realized that my audience isn't my best friends, isn't my family, like, I stopped taking offense to it. And I'd also recommend that to like any content creator watching this. Like, don't take offense because people don't do that. But then, like, if you're a friend, realize how big it is when you do that.
Yeah, 100%. I also think about people that are not posting online, right? Like, content is not everything in life, right? There are so many people that do. The vast majority of the population does things that are offline. Right. Yeah. And so I think about that too. It's not just supporting them and clicking on something and liking it online. It's also supporting them in, starting a bakery or starting a coffee shop or, creating a product and selling it. Right. Whatever that is. Right. Go and support them as best as you possibly can. Because as well as I do, that getting that additional support from your friends is huge. And I'm maybe in an interesting situation where like, my mom will text me and she'll be like, hey, I watched this episode. That was super cool. And I'm like, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Mom. But at the end of the day, it's like, that's, if you don't get that, that's totally fine. There are so many people out there that would love to support you, and you got to find them. But they're definitely out there. They will connect with your stuff. They will click with your stuff. You just got to keep creating it at the end of the day.
Yeah. You need to give yourself an opportunity to be seen. And the time we're in right now, like, you're not giving yourself an opportunity if you're not posting every day. Even me today, like, I had a clip that I wasn't going to post it, and then I wasn't going to have any clips to post. But then I remembered, and I reminded myself, like, if I'm not posting every day, people are forgetting about me. You know what I mean? Like, people aren't, by tomorrow, people forgot about me. Like, you need to give them a daily reminder. Like, this day and age, nobody has the attention span anymore to remember who you are unless, like, you're reminding them constantly.
I mean, you could also just show your ass tomorrow, and by next week, nobody would remember it too, right?
Yeah.
Look, it's kind of wild though that crazy things are happening every single day in this world. A bomb gets dropped here, something else blows up, or another war starts. Pakistan, India, like that's the most recent one, right? All these crazy things are happening. New pope, right? Which I don't think that's been announced yet. But all these crazy things are happening. I'm like, that feels like it was a lifetime ago. It was like 2 weeks ago the pope died. 3 weeks ago the pope died. But it seems like it was last year. So to your point, you've got to stay consistent with this stuff.
Yeah, because people, I feel like we all have this sensory overload type of thing. Like you said, for me, that the Pope died, it feels like months ago. Like, I really went through all my emotions, and it feels like it happened over a year ago, honestly, even though I know it was fairly recent. Like, that just how much information my mind is taking in so, like, constantly. Even by the next week, like, when I record a podcast, edit it, and post it, by next week, I forgot I did all that. And that's me, the creator. So imagine as a viewer, like, you have to be pushing pretty much yourself down their throats every day, or people are gonna forget.
Gotta stay consistent. What else? So outside of work and podcasts and all this other stuff, what else is going on? What else do you do? Or is this everything for you right now?
Yeah, right now, I mean, I'm 7 days a week just pushing content, working 24/7, and then just I like to play basketball, go to the gym. I think that's huge for me. Because one thing, like, I don't really drink anymore just because of how busy I am, and
It's not like it does anything good for you anyways.
yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not against it, don't get me wrong. Like, I'll still go out with my buddies whenever I do have some extra time and I do get the invite, but it's not how it used to be where, like, I'm getting drunk at all. Maybe I'll have a drink or two, and it's just to have a good time and be outside, because the one thing people also might not know in this game, like, you spend a lot of time alone. So, like, what I recommend to people, like, if you're scared of being alone, if, like, you're scared of yourself and your thoughts at night, like, go through that. Like, it's gonna suck like anything else that sucks in life, but you have to go through those hard stages, because once you get to the other side of things and you find that, like, self-love and that motivation where you don't need anybody else to be pushing you to do something, like, it's amazing. Like, you'll see yourself doing things you couldn't even believe yourself were capable of, honestly.
Absolutely. So the yacht, when is the yacht coming? I'm just curious. We talked about yachts earlier. I feel like
Yeah.
is that coming soon?
No. I honestly, I'm the type of person, if you would have asked me like 3 years ago, I would say 23 and under. I would say, hell yeah, like, it's coming next year. But the type of person I am, like I tell everybody on most of my podcasts, this black tee I wear, I have a rotation of like 15 to 16 of them. Like, I just kind of always wear the same clothes. I don't really reinvest into myself. Like, my happiness and my purpose nowadays is kind of like reinvesting into the people around me. Like,
It's awesome.
like, how can my sister wanted to go to, she's a flight attendant now. So, and now she wants to go to pilot school. Like, how could I help her build that? You know what I mean? If I got some extra money, help her get a little bit of extra money in the savings. Like, what do my parents want to do? Because obviously, like, I mean, God willing, even though it sucks to say, it's the truth, but, like, your parents are going to pass before you know what I mean? So I kind of want to give a ton back to my parents. It's like, they worked so hard to give me the opportunities I have today and to have the life I have today. So it's like, anything I kind of earned from this, I want to give back to them first. It's almost like a tier list of people I want to give back to before I get to think about the yacht, the cars, whatever I want in the future. But honestly, I want to live a very simple life. Like, I'm not saying I'm not going to cop a yacht or, like, buy a Lamborghini in the future, but it's going to take some time for sure.
I gotcha. Well, it seems like your priorities are in the right place, which is awesome. But hey, when you do cop the yacht, let me know. So
yeah, I gotcha. I just started fishing my first time. I went fishing the first time last year. Actually, one of the people that helped us he helped us install the new console. His name is Dave Antoni.
Okay.
He's huge, honestly. Like, he just put me on so much stuff. Like, have you ever heard of the NAB show?
No.
It's like a National Association for Broadcasting. It's just a huge show where, like
a conference?
Yeah, huge conference where, like, Black Magic, all the companies who sell from microphones to speakers to anything you could imagine in this world of TV, live streaming, any of that. It's just a conference for all their new gadgets. Like, and I fell in love with it. So he put me onto that. But he brought me fishing this summer, and I fell in love with that. So that's probably the only reason I'd buy a boat sooner rather than later, because that's what I want to do. Like, if you invite me out to a boat and you're like, all right, I got a 6-pack of brewskis, like, come on, that's a good time. Playing some Morgan Wallen, some Zach Bryan.
There's nothing better than a 6-pack in fishing on a boat, honestly. Come
on, like, that's a great time for me. So,
well, once again, we'll have to make that happen when you come down to Charleston. So,
for sure,
let me know about that for sure. I have kind of a follow-up question on this too, because I reached out to you because you've posted content with Julian Dory.
Yeah,
and I've been following him for a while, listening to a lot of his content. There's certain individuals that I just feel like are hitting the mark on the head with properly with podcasts and doing it in a real authentic manner. They're also creating really good content too. It's not like they aren't. I mean, they're creating really good, catchy content, but it's also at the same time, it's truly them, right? They're talking about whatever they want to talk about, and that's awesome. but you kind of gave me a little bit of a better understanding of how you got connected with him. If you're cool with that, I'd love to kind of dive into that too, and just say like, what it looks like to connect with certain people as well, to give people a little bit of a taste and a better understanding of what this process is truly like to get in front of big names or bigger names at this time.
Yeah, I mean, I just sent him an email. Like I found his email somewhere, or I actually believe one of my buddies that I met through the podcasting world, like he got a chance to meet him and interview him. So that's how I got his email. But when I got his email, it wasn't like I got his email and I instantly got an interview. It was like I got his email and I had to email his team a few times, and then I had to email him a few times, and then there was like a dead gap. Let's just say I had to send over 12, 15 emails before we ever got to sit down in front of each other and get the opportunity to talk. And then the one thing I would say about that is like following up, staying consistent, and showing people like it matters to you and you really want it. Because there was a time where I emailed him and I didn't hear from him for like 3-4 weeks, because somebody at that level, like he's dropping 3-hour episodes 3 times a week, 2 times a week. Like that's a lot of work. He's super busy. So for him to take time out of his day to have somebody who at the time I only had, I want to say like 40, 50 subscribers, like it was definitely under 100. Like it was my 4th episode. Like, so for him to take time out of his day to do that, I feel like you need to show him you really want to, and like you need to give him a reason why. Even though I think Julian would have said yes regardless of me not giving him a reason. He was just genuinely busy and like didn't see it. The guy gets thousands of messages daily. Like I just stayed consistent and stayed persistent, which is the important part. Like, and the one beautiful thing I found through all of that was like these people want to be interviewed. You know what I mean? A lot of these big names and big guys like aren't being asked to get interviewed because people are scared. And I was one of the people who was scared to ask. You know what I mean? There was a lot of times where I would be sending emails and be like, I feel like a dickhead sending this. Like, you know what I mean? Like I just feel rude, like blowing this guy up. But it's like you can't feel like that. Like you need to give yourself the opportunity until somebody says no. Like I just genuinely can't. Then that's when you maybe follow up in 6 months. But
it's also like a testament to the kind of person that he is, that he's willing to hop on with somebody that might not have a bunch of followers, right? And I think that's huge for a lot of these guys that we listen to, and it also just confirms why we listen to them too, right? It's like they're genuine people, they're real people that want to talk with other real genuine people. And just because you don't have millions or hundreds of thousands of followers does not mean you're not an intellectual individual that has a lot of knowledge or a great perspective that should be heard, right? Your message should be heard too, but you might not have as many followers. So be it. You will eventually. But that, once again, back to that, it's just a testament to the kind of person that he is. So I'm glad to hear that also, and I appreciate you just kind of sharing the story too, because it takes following up, takes touching base, and actually engaging with somebody. Things don't happen overnight. So don't send one email or make one phone call and expect all the shit to just fall in line for you. It takes consistency.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing I will say about Julian, like you said, he's just a genuine human being. Like he's probably one of the nicest guys I've met in my entire life, which I've met a ton of people over the course of my life, but he's just really down to earth and just another guy, which was really cool to see. Because at the time, that was my 4th episode. I really didn't know where my podcast was going. Every episode before that, I was in a suit. I wanted to be like more business oriented. And it wasn't until I met him and I got the opportunity to sit down with him and just really like talk about the podcasting game, where like my mind just kind of opened up, and that belief, he kind of gave me a ton of belief in myself at the time. Because honestly, I don't know, if I didn't do that interview, I don't think I would have probably been podcasting still. That interview was kind of what launch padded me into like, all right, we're doing this and we're not stopping. Like, which was amazing. And like you said, he didn't owe me that. Like he's at the size where he doesn't need to do that for anybody, but he's still willing to do that. Like if anybody hits him up and he has a time, he will take the time out of his day to be on the interview, because he understands what it's like trying to find a guest at whatever size you're at. And he understands like something you just said. A lot of people have value in this world, and just because you don't have a lot of followers doesn't mean you don't have interesting conversation to be had. You know what I mean? So it kind of gives everybody an opportunity.
Yeah, we all have a unique experience, unique upbringing, unique perspectives. Kind of like the word perspective gets used a lot too. I think I've seen it used a lot more as of late. It's kind of like the founding purpose of the podcast, which is being like, okay, this person has an experience that's different than mine. How can I learn from their experience, gain some knowledge from that, and then move forward and live a better life because of that experience and that message that they shared with me. But it's like, it was kind of like for me too. I was living in small town South Carolina, small town USA, my entire life. There's a whole lot outside of that I did not experience until I got to college and then went and studied abroad, and then was able to experience that and live abroad and be like, wow, the world is wild outside of South Carolina. But it took me till then to like actually experience that. So being, understanding different cultures, understanding different people's backgrounds, it's truly necessary to be able to better understand and be able to create your best, put your best foot forward in life in general.
Yeah, 100%. I would say one of the things it was humbling, because I would say even at that point, that was early December where we recorded it.
Yep.
And even at that point, I was like, the mentality I had where I was like, oh, if I blow up, like, you know what, F all my friends who weren't supporting, like, I'm gone from all these guys. Like, if anybody wants to collab, I'm not helping you, this, that. And it just changed my mentality completely. Like, it was really cool because, like, now I've opened up my mind. I'm more of the person that everything I learn, I want to give back. Like, how can I give back? Like, I want to use this platform to see how I can give back to the world, in the sense of I'm adding value to you. Hopefully I'm adding some motivation. And then maybe as we grow monetarily, I could give back in the sense of I could get an editor, give him an opportunity. I could give back to my friends, like, hey, you want to start this TikTok? You want to start this YouTube channel? I'll teach you, honestly, because I'm not afraid to teach you everything I know. Like, I really don't mind that. Like, it's just going to be even cooler because now I get to see how my friend grows. Like, we got to speak on it on the phone the other day a little bit, where one of my buddies has a TikTok channel now, and he was kind of losing motivation in the drive. And then just seeing me build my podcast and seeing me like slowly build my audience and just staying consistent has motivated him to start doing it again, and then reach out to other creators and other DJs and like connect with them. And then I remember we hopped on the phone one day after he met his first content creator, and it was hilarious because his reaction and just his emotion through the conversation was exactly how I felt after talking to Julian. And I remember like being so excited about talking to Julian, just being so pumped. And at that time, like, nobody followed at me and nobody cared. Like, I called my friends, I remember, and I was like, yo, I just interviewed Julian. Like, it was sick. I loved it. It got cut short because I was busy. I had something to do that day that I couldn't miss out on. But I was like, I am so excited. Like, you don't know how huge of an opportunity that was for me. Like, they just didn't understand like how excited I truly was and how big of an opportunity it was. And I just kind of pushed away from everybody for a little. And like, I kind of just got into my own bubble where I'm like, all right, not everybody's going to be as excited as I am. And not everybody's going to realize like what opportunity it is. So I just got to focus on me and like keep pushing me. And then once I have those 1,000 followers, 10,000, 100,000, whatever it is, like, people are going to realize how big that opportunity really was, and like how big taking that leap truly was. Because that's one thing I had told my friends early on. Like, I understand nobody's going to follow me when I have 25 followers, 10 followers. Like, that's just something that nobody does, even myself. When I see a video that's really good, doesn't matter, I hop on their profile, see 10 followers. I used to not follow them. Now I do, because I know what it feels like to be on the other side. But it's just that it's in society. I don't know what it is with people's minds, that numbers game.
Well, I'll just be honest. When I saw the clips that whoever, I guess it was you sharing, but I saw them, I was like, damn. I was like, so I checked out your YouTube and I was like, all right, he's got some subscribers. I was like, but I don't really care about the subscriber count. I don't care about the follower count. I was like, this guy had the gumption to reach out to and connect with Julian Dory and some of these bigger guys. I was like, how do you, like, what is the story, right? Like, how did this guy do it? What kind of mentalities and approaches is he taking in life to be able to get in front of these kind of people? Once again, a lot of people don't even take that leap of faith. So that's huge. That's awesome. Something that kind of came up too while we were talking through all this is like, when I think about a good person or like a genuine human being or somebody that has successfully hit like a happy stage or a good stage in their life or become a truly good human being, one of the key indicators of that for me is somebody that in a certain time of their life, they've done super well at something, right? They've either gotten super fit or they've committed to a podcast or they've accomplished something amazing. And other people have started to reach out to them and they've started to connect them and put them on game, which you've obviously done for your friends. When that friend, though, happens to surpass you or do much better than you keep supporting them even after they surpass you.
I'm happy just thinking.
Yep. So that for me is like that. I feel like you're one of those guys too, which is huge. And I think we need more of that, right? Where people recognize like, hey, you went and did something big, or you helped a friend get to a certain goal and they accomplished it, and then they spoke with this person, they hit 1 million subscribers before you hit 1 million subscribers, or they made $1 million before you made $1 million. Like truly being happy for that person, in my opinion, is a mark of a really good person. Now, will we truly know if anybody else is really truly happy for that person? I don't know. Maybe we won't. But at the end of the day, I think that there's something to be said about that kind of taking that kind of approach to life, where you connected them with somebody, it turned into $1 million deal or 1 million subscribers, and you genuinely appreciate or support them and are happy for them at that time. So
yeah, and I believe that's, like you said, it's hard for a lot of people out there, and even myself when I was younger, I wouldn't have thought that. It just comes with age, I guess. At least in my life, just through experiences and stuff. Like, you're not really gonna get anywhere being jealous of other people, because like you're focused on what other people are doing so much. Like, how are you gonna focus on your own plate, kind of stuff? Like, you need to just focus on your life and focus on how you could better your life. And for me to see my friends doing well, chasing their dreams, like that's just bettering my life. Like, you know what I mean? I'm surrounded by great people who are doing great things. Like, why the heck would I ever be upset? Like, oh, it's not me. Like, maybe it's not me for a reason. Maybe, you know what I mean? I didn't work hard enough. I didn't do this enough. Like, there's always a reason, but you can't be like down and out because of it. Like, you're taking away from your friend's success, and that's just not it, honestly.
Yeah. It is hard though at a younger age to be able to like mentally understand that giving and doing and supporting and providing or connecting, right, is actually going to provide you that long-term return, right? You don't think about it like that at the time. You're just like, I just need to finish this. I need to graduate high school. I need to graduate college. I need to do whatever's next. I need to get that job. But it's true. Like, if you can truly be a giver and a connector and a networker and a builder of other people, it pays back tenfold in so many different ways that might not just be monetarily, but in other ways as well. Because your network is everything, and the people you build relationships with is everything in this life.
Yeah, because I find it so cool. One of my friends, we got to speak about this on the phone as well. One of my friends, he's a producer in Miami now, and he lives in Fort Lauderdale.
Cool.
But he just made a music video with Antonio Brown, and he's been really like just locked in on his thing, and like he's been doing really well. But the thing is, like, I have videos of us sitting in an Acura TL like 5-6 years ago, like him freestyling to me, us singing like the same song, things like that, and like him in my basement just freestyling. And like in those videos, when he would post them or any type of music, like people in our hometown would always just like make fun of him, or really not make fun of him, but just really not believe in him. And I remember being one of those people like, dude, you're freaking super talented. Like, I would literally hang out with him because I was like, yo, this is sick. Like, you're creating something and like you're really good. And I just always would push him like, dude, just keep freaking going. And like we would always have conversations where we know it was rough. Like, being any artist, you're taking a leap and like you're not taking the regular route. We actually went to the same school together at first, because at that time we were both going to Monmouth University. And I remember he dropped out and went to SAB, which is a sound engineering school in New York. And just him taking that leap like kind of inspired me to start taking more risk in my life, because he was a year younger than me and like he was just kind of going for his dream. And a lot of people at the time probably looked at him like, what the heck is this kid doing? Like, why would he be doing that? Like, oh, I'm going to do so much better than this kid. But now to see him like be in a place to be where he's like kind of dominating the space and like moving up in the world and meeting all these guys that people in our hometown or people around us would freaking cry to meet, you know what I mean? But now he could call them friends and call them collaborators and call them mentors, whatever they are to him, is amazing. Like, I remember calling him the other day and just telling him like how freaking proud I am of him, because I got to see his like struggles and his trials and tribulations, where there was days where he's working 2 to 3 jobs just to be able to produce and continue doing what he loves. And like seeing that grind in him, seeing that like constant drive in him, like motivated me to start this as well. You know what I mean? So I love having him as a friend, and he knows, like, regardless if he was making music with AB or nobody, like I still love him as a friend, still be proud as hell of him. Like, it's never been about who he's with, what he's doing, how much money he's making. It's always been about him as a person and the drive and like actual talent I see in him.
Yeah, I think about like a lot of my friends locally that have their own bands and they're a part of a band or they're the lead singer or whatever their role is in the band, and they play at smaller venues. And I'm like, you never know like which one of these people. A lot of these guys have other jobs, they do other things too. It's not like they're everything, but they love doing it and they all would love to see it blow up. And so I try my best to go to as many of those small concerts as possible, right? Try to support them as many things as possible. It's not just people in bands or trying to be creative or just, the creative folks. It's people that actually have a goal set and they're trying to accomplish something in there with whatever they've decided they want to accomplish it in, whatever path they've decided to take. But I've tried my best in that regard to support my musically talented friends. Like, y'all are incredible. Your ability to pick up a musical instrument and sing simultaneously and also produce the content is something that, frankly, the vast majority of the population can't even fathom doing. It is so difficult for the vast majority of the population. So to see somebody that is actually good at it, you're like, hey, keep this shit going, man.
Yeah.
This is awesome. This is really cool. So try to support as much as I possibly can on that front.
For sure. And even just be honest about it. Like, I remember him like giving me, like, he sends me tracks all the time, but even back then he'd send me tracks like, what do you think? And a lot of them I thought they were amazing because I'm like, I could never do anything like this. So I tell him straight up, like, yo, I love it. But then there was some where I'm like, it isn't the best. And then I tell him why it wasn't the best. But then I'd also tell him, like, hey, you got to remember, I might not be your audience for this certain song, number one. Number two, I know nothing about creating music, so you can't take my word full, like, through and through. I don't know. So it's just like, I just always love to be honest about him. That's why he knows, like, he could always send me music, and I think that's why he still does and show me stuff, because he knows, like, I'll always be honest, like, whether it's good or bad. Like, I'll never lie to him just to, like, hype him up or this and that. Like, I was always honest since day one, and I was always supportive, which is the biggest thing, because good or bad, that's still one of my best friends, and I was supportive of his dream. And now to see where he's at, man, like I said, it's inspiring him. It's inspiring, and I'm really proud of him. And, like, I honestly couldn't be more proud of him. I almost shed a tear thinking about it. Like,
tough love is a huge part of that too, right? Like being honest with your friends, where it's like, hey, I am supporting you. This kind of sucks though. You should consider another direction. Not saying that all your stuff is bad, but hey, maybe you should consider editing this. Especially if you do have experience with it, and you're like, hey, I have experience now that you have experience with podcasting, or you have experience with production and media. You can say, hey, your video quality kind of sucks. Here's a suggestion for a camera, right? Instead of just being like, your video quality sucks. Here's a new DJI that I bought that's now $1,000, but it was $500. But still, here's a good example of a piece of or equipment that's actually going to make your life that much better, because you actually are good at what you do. You just need this, this, and this. So speaking of providing value, I was going to kind of dive into this real quick on your equipment that you use, the setup, so on and so forth. Are you okay sharing some of the stuff that you use, just for people that are maybe listening that want to get into and dive into this as well?
Yeah, I mean, my specific setup, I don't know if I'd recommend to start off because it's a few expensive, but I could show you guys right here. Like, this is what the microphones we use. This is a RE25 or RE20, sorry. But these microphones are, like, honestly top of the line. These are the best. Like, I see you got the Shure. Is that the MVB7?
Yeah, this is like the level below their top of the line. This is like the $200, $250 one, not the whatever next level is.
Yeah, like this one is $500. I mean, you see the shock mount we got on, it's huge.
Yep.
And same with the mic arms. Like, when I walked in Julian's studio, like, he had the same mic arms, so I was like, oh shit, maybe we are doing pretty good. But we have 1, 2, 3. We have 8 microphones in this studio. They're all RE20s. And then you can kind of see, like, let's see if I stand up real quick.
Oh, it's moving. It's moving.
There is it. Oh, this black camera.
Yep.
Like, these are a little bit cheaper because at the time they were expensive. When we bought them a few years back, they were $1,000 each. But now everybody's in 4K. These are 1080p cameras, but the issue is we have 8 cameras, so to replace 8 cameras, you're talking a lot of money. And
Yep.
these are nice because we have a controller that's able to, like, I could click what camera I want and then maneuver it around and just control it. So if you're sitting on the opposite side of the room and I need to zoom into that person real quick, I could do that.
Cool.
And then we also have, let me see if I stand up again.
How many camera angles are you using for your podcast?
For my podcast, I use 1 for myself and then 3 for my guests, because sometimes like the lighting and the colors come out different on some cameras just because I'm not the best at lighting. And there's a lot of people, like we rent out the studio, so there's a lot of people that come in and out. So sometimes like the lighting's a little bit off. And since I kind of run it myself, and I'm a producer for most shows, I'm not able to sit behind the cameras and like adjust it as the show's going on. So I just have 3 cameras on the guests in case anything goes wrong, or if like sometimes the episode, they all come out beautiful. So I kind of use it just to mess around and give people different angles. Because one thing I realized after interviewing with Julian is like how well he cuts his cameras in and out. And that adds a lot of value to the podcast when people are watching it, because it's like, it's grabbing the attention, because maybe what I'm saying doesn't grab the attention, but the camera might grab the attention.
Absolutely. Speaking of cameras, I'm like looking at mine right now, and it looks like it's trying to die, but it's plugged in, which is one of those weird things where I'm like, I don't know if it's actually going to die or not. But before it does, I wanted to kind of wrap things up so that we don't wrap up and then have to change a different camera angle, make it weird at the end. So in conclusion here, Steve, what do you want to leave people with? What additional info, value, insights, etc. Do you think would be kind of a good concluding thought for today's episode?
I just want to leave people with, like, just start. Whatever you want to do in life, just start. Like, I understand the fears in life. I understand being afraid. We're wanting to start something new, regardless if it's a business, regardless if it's going back to school, content, whatever it is. Like, you just have to start. And then you're like, don't be afraid to fail. I know it's cliche. I know everybody says it, but everybody says it because it's the truth. Like, you can't be afraid to fail. Like, you're not going to be perfect when you begin. I'm far from perfect. You know what I mean? Like, every video I post at what I consider to be like the 60% rule. Like, once I think it's 60% done, I'll just post, because if I wait till perfect, like, I'm never going to post anything. I'm never going to think it's good enough. So,
Steve, I'm like the 10% rule. I just like 10%. I'd say it's pretty good. Let's get it out there. So,
but that's a good rule. Like, in the beginning, it really doesn't matter that much. Like, as long as you're, at least in content, like, as long as you're getting stuff out and you're just giving yourself an opportunity and a chance, like we spoke about earlier, like, that's what really matters. And then, like, as you grow, you'll just start to learn more. Because for me, like, I've only had a YouTube channel for 6 months, and the amount of change and growth I've had in those 6 months is tremendous. Like, I never could have imagined I could speak for an hour and a half, 2 hours and a half, 3 hours and a half without being like, without stuttering, without doing some crazy stuff. Like, I don't know, like, to be able to sit comfortably behind a camera for even longer than 5 minutes is something really cool, and something this time last year I didn't think was possible for me. So, like, things are always going to be impossible until you start. Like, once you start, you're going to start to realize, like, things are possible. Just like we talked about Julian, like, how did I land him? Like, I thought it was impossible at one time until I gave myself the opportunity and I started. And now, like, I see myself landing bigger and bigger guests, but that's only because I'm giving myself the opportunity. I'm constantly, like, the other day I sent 60 emails out. You know what I mean? And those 60 emails, I'm probably going to receive 2 to 3 people back. And, like, that doesn't really matter to me. I'm just going to keep giving myself the chance and keep going for it.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, I've got a couple of things on my to-do list as a follow-up to this. Of course, we have to edit this episode and get it produced so I can share that with you. But I also am going to send you a Stay Curious hat once they come in, which should be in the next couple of weeks, along with our show sponsor, which I actually, Abomb Energy. I need to drop you a few of those drinks as well. I'm not sure if you're an energy drink guy, but they're really good, and they're also the nootropics in them are really good for focus too. So they're not near as jittery as like a C4 or a Monster, which I really like about it. And the guy's a veteran, great dude, but the product's really, really good. So I'm gonna package up a little care package for you. I'm gonna send it over to you in the next couple of weeks with some merch and with an Abomb Energy or two, and love to know what you think about those also.
Beautiful. I appreciate it. Definitely. I love the energy drinks. Like I'm about to head over to the gym right now and probably take a Celsius on it with me. So
Well,
definitely
enjoy the workout. And that was the kind of one thing I was talking about earlier too, is I wouldn't really mention the gym specifically, but it's my daily consistent thing. It's like, even if I go to the gym and I just sit in the sauna or steam room, I'm going in regardless. I have to go in. Because if not, it just messes with everything. So good on you for hitting the gym right now at 8:30 at night. Hopefully that doesn't keep you up too late.
At the end of last year, I signed up to a 24/7 gym for that specific reason, to like not give myself excuses. Like doesn't matter what time of the day, whenever I have some energy, I can pick up and go to the gym. Whether I wake up in the middle of the night, whether it's late at night, like it's just no excuses. And like you said, it's that one little thing. Like it's all about them small daily wins. That's what it's really about. Like they just really multiply and add up over time.
They definitely do. They definitely do. Well, Steve, once again, man, I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure to get to meet you and get to know you a bit better through this episode. Looking forward to sharing it, and really appreciate you sharing genuine information, knowledge, content with people. And hopefully this will gain you a few subscribers on your podcast as well.
I hope so, and yours as well. I hope this helped you out. Thank you for inviting me on. It was huge, man.
Absolutely, Steve. We will talk soon.
Of course. Take care.